imagine my shock when Hollywood's take on Donald Trump the movie makes him out to look like a monster and defames him as a person. So this Donald Trump movie, it's called The Apprentice. It stars Sebastian Stan. We've already talked about it like a couple of months ago because we were just curious, how is Hollywood going to deal with making Donald Trump look like a human being instead of a caricature? And it turns out that they're not capable of doing that because of this controversy over a rape scene in the movie. This is a scene depicting Donald Trump raping his ex-wife, Ivana Trump, who, by the way, is now dead and is not capable of speaking for herself in this moment. And it not only shocked and offended the people watching the premiere at Cannes Film Festival, it also prompted the Trump campaign to threaten a lawsuit for defamation against the producers of the Apprentice film. So let me just describe what they showed. In Ali Bassi's The Apprentice, Trump violently throws his then wife, Ivana, to the ground and proceeds to have non-consensual sex with her. In the controversial scene, Ivana playfully presents a book to her husband about the merits of a female orgasm, but the interaction between the two turns dark quickly, as an uninterested Trump tells his wife that he is no longer attracted to her. They argue, then Trump throws her to the ground, angrily thrusts himself into her, and sneers, "Is that your G-spot? Did I find it?" So that's allegedly what they included in the film after deliberating over how graphic it should be multiple times over. They, I think, had insiders familiar with the script say that they were arguing about how much to show, and it was controversial that it would be in there anyway. And I was confused by this because I thought, did Ivana ever even accuse Donald of doing anything like this before? So it turns out that in their 1989 divorce deposition, she did in fact accuse him of marital rape. However, she recanted that statement later on in deliberation of their divorce. And later on, she said something like, it felt like a violation, but I wouldn't call it a criminal act, what he did.
Yeah, so this is what it says. In a statement, so it says, Ivana accused Donald Trump of rape and pulling out handfuls of her hair. Yeah. In Harry Hurt III's book, Lost Tycoon, The Many Lives of Donald J. Trump, she confirmed that she had, quote, felt violated. However, in a statement provided by Donald and his lawyers, she said that she had used the word rape, but she did not want her words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense. The uncontested divorce was granted in December of 1990.
Now, regardless of whether this happened, it obviously is not a crime that has been proven in a court of law. And I think that the inclusion of this scene says a lot about the direction they're taking with the movie. Despite what they've said about trying to humanize Trump, the decision to include this is all the more reason to think that this is just a hit piece that's 2 hours long.
Election year.
And an election year, I mean, it's very obvious the angle that they're going for here. And Donald Trump's campaign responded to this. Stephen Chung, the campaign spokesman for Trump, said, "We will be filing a lawsuit to address the blatantly false assertions from these pretend filmmakers. This garbage is pure fiction which sensationalizes lies that have long been debunked." And he went on to blast the film as an election interference by Hollywood elites, on the same level as criminal charges brought against Trump in 4 separate cases over the last year, which he termed the illegal Biden trials. I actually wouldn't call it election interference at all. They're perfectly within their rights as creatives to make whatever story they want, as long as it's understood that it's not a documentary, right? Correct. They're taking creative liberties, sure, but it's just, you would hope for something more, I mean, not less predictable. Like,
reserved.
It's something more reserved and tasteful that's not just, we get it.
Oddly
enough, it's not subversive to talk shit about Donald Trump in Hollywood. Like, do something a little bit more complex than that.
The funny thing is, you'll end up like looking like you have more credibility if you pull on the reins a bit and
Right.
try to present something that's a little bit more even keel, and that might actually get your message across further, because people are so sensitive to propaganda now that they're just not going to buy into it. So even if every word was true, people are automatically going to fail to buy into it because it's an election year, because it's very clearly done for this purpose. Now, you know, what we could do instead is like have a double feature of The Apprentice and My Son Hunter on the same day and watch them back to back.
That would go crazy.
That would be great.
I would love to watch that. But I love how strongly worded this statement was. This film, quote unquote, is pure malicious defamation, should not see the light of day, and doesn't even deserve a place in the straight to DVD section of a bargain bin at the soon to be closed discount movie store. It belongs in a dumpster fire.
They're showing their age here. He said it should have gone straight to streaming. This doesn't deserve a theater release.
The Variety also did this exclusive investigation into the legal battle behind the Trump movie, where they actually got a billionaire investor to get involved in this film who wasn't aware of the angle that they were taking with it. His name is Dan Snyder. Mind you, not Dan Schneider.
Yes.
Dan Snyder. He is
tough times
furious.
for him in Hollywood right now.
This investor is furious with the portrayal of Trump in this movie. He's the former owner of the Washington Commanders, FKA the Redskins. Yes. So that should tell you what you need to know. He isn't happy about it. A nasty battle has played out between Dan Snyder's company, Kinematics, and the filmmakers over the creative direction of The Apprentice. It covers Trump's early years when he was mentored by political fixer Roy Cohn and his marriage to his first wife, Ivana. So sources familiar with this battle and this back and forth say that Dan Snyder took issue with aspects of the film and weighed in on what should be changed. In earlier versions, The Apprentice featured a scene where Trump rapes Ivana. One insider familiar with the scene that is in the current cut described it as violent and uncomfortable and follows a fight between the couple. And Dan Snyder's attorneys did not respond to requests for comment. So basically he's trying to kill the movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's capable of doing that at this stage in the game, though. I don't think so. Because they're showing it at Cannes Film Festival for more people to get involved in funding it. It's basically a trade show.
Correct.
Basically, they're trying to get other investors so then they won't need him anymore. So it's going to stay this way. I'm not surprised at all. I wouldn't expect Hollywood to do any differently. And it had a lot of potential, you know, because Trump is genuinely an interesting person.
Yeah.
It has potential to be an interesting movie, but instead, they're framing it as he was a real estate wannabe and he was mentored by this evil villain. And then he, you know, became this con artist that he is today. But that's not true to life.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not interesting. Like, what is the point of making a movie about someone who has no character development?
But it's not just that. Another thing that's kind of annoying about this is you could have feigned a sense of impartiality, but the director went and made a statement at Cannes.
Fascism.
Where he talks about the descent into fascism. Let's listen to what he has to say, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
The Israeli Prime Minister is being indicted in the international court. There's a war in Ukraine. There's a war in Sudan. There's all sorts of shit going on. And I think in the time of turmoil, there's this tendency to look inwards, to sort of bury your head deep in the sand.
Hollywood never looks inwards, guys. Just so that you know, they don't ever look inwards.
And look inside and hope for the West. Hope for the best, hope for the storm to get away. But
what is this guy saying?
The storm is not going to get away. The storm is coming. Actually, the worst times are to come.
Well, that movie Twisters is coming out, so that's
Oh
true.
my
The storm is
gosh.
coming.
Sorry to be the bearer of the good news for you guys. But, you know, you can pretend it's not here, but you can also deal with it. You can also deal with it. When we did this movie, everyone said, why do you want to make a movie with Trump? You know, if you want to tell something about the world, do it in a nice way, in a metaphorical way. How about a Second World War movie? How about a First World War movie? How about an American independence movie? How about the Russian
They
independence
said,
movie?
why
How
make
about
a
the Roman
movie
Empire?
about Trump?
And
You
that-
should make one about Hitler instead.
We ended up in the Planet of Apes, you know, but point is, there is no nice metaphorical way to deal with the rising wave of fascism. You know?
Wow.
There's,
How original.
there's only the messy way. There's only the banal way. There's only the way of dealing with this wave.
I don't know what's worse, the idea of the artists dealing with these things or the actual politicians dealing with these things. Both are equally as ineffective and insulting to my intelligence.
How about the people who are affected by the decisions of both the filmmakers and the politicians?
Yeah.
About us?
Yeah.
What do we think?
Yeah.
Can we have input? I can't believe they were like, well, if you want to make a film about Trump, just make one about Hitler that's metaphorical. That would be way more complex and interesting as a piece of art. Just make a movie about Hitler and make everyone think that he's like Trump. No one has thought of that before. Comparing Trump to Hitler?
That's
groundbreaking.
crazy. Produced by Robert De Niro, who thinks that everything Trump does is Hitler. I'm always curious as to what policies they're talking about that are
I always
fascist.
wish that Trump was the fascist dictator that they say he is, but I know he's not.
like I
He's
am,
just an egoist.
like you'd think that to them the more fun would be to actually do like a kind of like how Man in the High Castle like rewrites history as if the Nazis won, like rewrite the movie, like make it as if like Trump actually was the fascist that you imagined him to be. Then you can make all of the weird fanfic you want.
Make the movie about what, him winning the 2020 election and then
Yeah, and then our descent into. And no, the funny thing is, then you could do everything the same: war in Ukraine, war Israel, Palestine, all the things going wrong in the world, and then you've got the same thing. Okay,
Yeah.
kids in cages. Remember that?
yes, I do remember
Yeah,
that.
you could just do all those things. Crisis at the border. Psych, they won't do that because they like the crisis at the border. Point being,
I want to see the sequel that's Trump, president for life. I want to see that one.
They should do that. Or you know what? Or better yet, what was that movie, The Interview? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like do that version. Get Borat. Get Borat to play Donald Trump?
So was the interview
Get
supposed
Sacha
to
Baron
be
Cohen
a
to play Donald Trump.
comedy? I never saw it.
But what else? Like, there's so many things that what they really should be doing is they should hire Trey Parker and Matt Stone to make like the South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, or Team America World Police, and make that live action where it's Team America World Police versus Trump.
I mean, we were
It would
talking
still be
about
stupid,
this.
but at least it would be mildly interesting.
We were talking about this off air. We're just tired of political movies in general,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether they're set in the current day or whether they're a period piece. It's even hard to make them in like future settings without them being extremely I guess like weighed down with baggage of current event politics.
It's the worst. I didn't even like when we
not
had to
done
watch
well.
when TV was coming out during COVID and people had masks on. I'm like, please don't do that.
Yeah,
Please
it's
just pretend that that's not going on in the world right now. We don't need it. The world doesn't need that right now. We don't need that
Yeah.
reminder. It's pointless. It's stupid. It doesn't add to the story. One of the worst things ever was like in the show NCIS, they had this one character's wife who's like a healthy 20-something or 30-year-old woman die of COVID off screen because the actress just had a family and wasn't going to come back and do the show. And it was just the most propagandistic thing I'd ever seen. I was like, yes, I'm sure the likelihood of that happening is very, very high. So
thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.